So welcome back to our Python lectures. On today, day 15, we will look at another technology for writing Python code, not only in Python, other languages. It's called Jupyter. Jupyter notebooks. Actually, it started with something called interactive Python a long time ago. Now it's renamed Jupyter for last some years already. And the idea is that you write your code interactively in small chunks, in small cells, and it's perfectly suited workflow for data science, data analysis, machine learning, teaching. It's great for teaching. Again, it's a way of writing code and also adding some visual information on top of it, right? It is not maybe a class, it's an alternative to classical programming where we write the code in one big, in multiple files, but it runs all at once. In Jupyter, you have multiple cells. So I've been using this for, I don't know, for like 6-7 years already, maybe even longer now, but very, very nice technology, but it's different mindset, right, from classical programming. So at first you might be, well, some really like it immediately, some like it maybe a little bit later. Right, so we'll see how it works. Again, that's the main site, but we are actually, the good news for you is you can keep using Visual Studio Code. Hopefully, for most of you, you can use it and still explore this technology. And again, underneath, we are only going to be using Python. In fact, you'll be still using Python and just writing it in smaller chunks, in smaller, or code will be, in smaller steps. So it's really nice for exploration, for exploratory data analysis, for example. So again, the way to create and share documents contain live code, equations, visualizations, some narration, meaning just regular text, right? Data cleaning, transformation, simulation, and so on and so on. Right, and here are some instructions. I made a readme.py file, just regular code, right? But again, it's just blank code, right? It runs, right? Nothing happens. Remember, only reason I made so you go to the virtual environment again and check that you have a Jupyter installed. If you don't have installed Visual Studio Code,
Prompt.
Let me prompt uninstall Jupyter extension for you again. So it's basically a library, right? So it will be an alternative way of connecting to your Python interpreter, right? So we have Python 3.10.7. Again, the version is maybe not that important. 3.9 will work, 3.8 even might work, even 3.7. Okay, but right. So let's create our first notebook, right? Actually, I have one, but let me start it from scratch. So let's do another one. Example, right? Basics maybe, right? My second notebook. I'll do my second notebook, right? Basics, as they say, basics on I, Pi, Y, and B. Notice how this works. I has a nice little logo, this Jupyter logo, right? So our naming is right. If I did a typo, Pi and B, right? Not good, right? Okay. And notice what we get. We get something different. It says Python. That's good. We have Visual Environment 3.10.7. Everything looks great. We have code, markdown, run all, outline, all good stuff, right? So, we'll see how it works. If this is your first time and you didn't install your requirements like in the last video, it might ask to say, okay, you need to install Jupyter, right? Install it using pip install. And also, what's important, check if you have Jupyter extensions. These are actually installed by default. There's 4 of them. Slideshow support, key map, I believe. Yeah, key map, slideshow, cell tags, right? And notebook support. Again, the good news, notice 47 million downloads. Well, only 3 stars. Interestingly enough, right? It used to be really bad support. Like maybe 2 years ago, I would not recommend Visual Studio Code for Jupyter work. We are going to look later on in the course at some alternatives, such as Anaconda, running in a web server, right? There's some other ways, such as Google Colab, or even from a Jupyter site. But right now, Visual Studio Code is quite good. Support is really good. So you have these 4 extensions, right? I think this one also is installed. I think even 5, right? Right, Jupyter, right? they're installed as part of Python plugin actually automatically. Again, so Microsoft also likes notebooks. Okay, so you have the right extension, and we have a new file. So let's see. Let me show you my first print. This is a Jupyter code cell, right? All right, and so I have this little symbol, execute cell. You can do Control Alt Enter or play, right? Run. And notice this is the output, right? So that's a big idea, right? So you have these little tiny programs, and that's not all actually, right? So you can keep writing, making new cells. So that's the idea, but let's do something else. Let's add a new code cell plus, right? Add code cell. Actually, escape B will be a shortcut. Escape B will add a new cell code cell below, right? Below the current cell, right? Let's try this. You can do, of course, this play, add code cell, but I will use a shortcut, right? Escape B. Okay, there we go. Again, if somehow for some reason shortcuts don't work, you can just press code play. All right, now we can have some variables. My name, right? Of course, my name is Valdis, right? Of course, not John. Come on, Valentino. Oh, that's nice. Valdis. Oh, thank you. Right, and hello. My name from my file. It will be interesting to see what it says actually. My file. Let's see. Built run. Actually, this is file not defined because it's a notebook, right? So from so my name. Let's say my my profession, my job, my hobby, my favorite, my food, my favorite number is 42. Right, so print hello on my favorite number is my. Okay, great. So 3 lines. I can add, of course. I can add comments in the code just like in any other Python file, right? So I'll run it. Hello. So now the interesting thing is is actually that I have 2 variables. So this is a big difference, right? I have actually this code and this code, they are running in the same program. The program is still running. Again, escape B, right? And I still have my variables. Active, right? Right. Yeah, indeed. Still my name is right, and I'm gonna do Control Enter, right? Control Enter executes current cell. Control Enter, right? And again, you can do, of course, run it here. So run this one, and still my name is Valdis and my favorite number is 42. So that means a crucial. So my variables are still active, right? So the program is still running. Well, in fact, so it's very similar if I was running here Python, right? And I did something like A is 5, right? B is 7, right? And I can do, A plus B, on, print A plus B, right? So same idea, except it's much nicer, right? Nice little wrapper around this, your state, your memory, right? So I'll exit regular. This is like something from 90s, right? You don't want to use this unless you really have a computer which has no other support, right? So I'm going to exit, right? So this is just the same idea. Look at this, all the good stuff you get. You also get, for example, variables, right? Since you are active, this notebook is active, you can check variables, right? You see my favorite number, integer, 42, my name, string, 6 Valdis. Isn't this nice, right? You have an active program, right? And later on we'll see you can always go back to a regular Python program. In fact, that is a typical workflow, right? So actual workflow would be workflow right, in order, right? Then but you can also run that out of order. So that is one of the big things we'll look at. What Jupyter makes Jupyter different from regular Python is that you can run cells out of order, right? And that's something which might sometimes trip up beginners. That's why I didn't teach you on the first day. There are courses that sometimes go to Jupyter immediately, but it's not all about Jupyter. That's why, you know, we waited for you to get your basics down. So now, and then later on, we can download the Python file, right? That's also possible, right? So that is the big thing. So notice I could change my number to, let's say, 77, right? I'll run this cell, you see? I run it again. So now, of course, it's 77. Notice my variable is 77, and I can run this cell again, of course, and my number is 77. So another thing is, right, is that I can have, let's say I have a counter, you know, CNT equals 0, right? And I can do count, you know, count plus equal 1, right? And count, right? So 1, notice now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So I can run this. So each time I run the cell to add 1 to counter, right? So again, so that's why it makes it slightly different, because you are basically, you don't have a linearity, right? You can run cells out of order. So it's very typical again in in exploratory, right? Yeah, right. You don't know. You might not know. All right. So again, and then maybe you'll open up some files again. So you can use anything. You can import any regular Python libraries. Usually in the first cell, we'll do that. So hopefully, this idea, you get some idea of what Jupyter Notebooks is. And today in the class, we will explore it in more detail. So this should hopefully serve you as a small, tiny introduction. So one last thing is, I could notice how here, and also I think somewhere else, no. So here again, I am by default, Jupyter will output the last line of cell. So let's say if I do here, right? So if I do, let's say, okay, output last cell of line. So if I do escape B here, I can do this. My name, you know, my name. Notice how it shows my variables. My name, my favorite number, right, and also my count. I have 3 variables. So I see count. Of course, I see them here, right? But I don't have to. You know, sometimes you might not have this. This is actually something new, right? You might not see the variables. You can do this, right? And you see a nice little tuple. We'll see a tuple of my variables, right? And see there. Again, there are lots of nice little Jupyter commands we'll explore, but this should serve you as a nice introduction. And again, if you say, okay, you've done all this code, right, you can download it, and let me see later on. I think it was here, no, export, I believe it was, right? We'll see about saving it as a Python file, right? But for now, it is just a Jupyter file, and you'll see actually it's nothing complex, right? It's just instructions to your Python, same instructions, same syntax. It's just a different way of approaching or giving commands. All right, thank you, and we'll continue in the class.